Easy now.
Easy now.
Welcome to Drive Talk Podcast special episode number 8.
Yeah, we're down here at the wonderful Festival of Speed with Porsche GB. And in fact, let's introduce our very special guest, Rory Lumpson, who is the Director of PR at Porsche GB. It's an absolute delight to have you on, mate. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, you're having us.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We're actually in the wonderful Porsche Cafe. This is the day before the start of the Festival of Speed. So it's Wednesday, and it's really interesting seeing everything be set up behind us because we don't normally get this treat. I turn up when everything's ready and enjoy the festival, so it's really, really cool. And in fact, we were here last night with Porsche GB doing something that I could never imagine doing in my life. Basically, it was like a video for Porsche GB, which I'm assuming is going to go out on your channels over the next couple of days and will be live by the time this podcast is live. It was very, very cool. Ped and I did that together, and it was a long night. We were out to about 3 this morning.
It certainly was a long night.
But yeah, real eye-opener.
Yeah, 3 very cool cars. I mean, it'll be live now, so we can kind of can spill the beans.
Yeah, you can talk about what you drove.
I had to drive the new Spider RS. I can't say what it was like to drive because that is still under embargo.
I could say it sounded really good from the outside though, because that's
You can.
yeah. No surprise there with the lump that it has hiding under it. So
what did you drive, Joe?
I was just in a 992 Dakar with the accessories on the roof because I didn't, just in case I got lost or stranded. I had a shovel and various other bits and pieces. But it was awesome. It was so cool, and we did a lot of it in front of. Which is going to be a subject of this podcast, that glorious statue behind us, which is just a spectacle during the day, and unfortunately an incredible spectacle during the night. But as it's summer here in the UK and the festival closes at 6-7 o'clock, most people won't see it at night. So.
No, I mean, we had to wait till gone 9:30 before we could start filming. We were up till 3 because it's got some amazing laser lights. But one of the things we wanted to talk about when I've been coming to the Festival of Speed a long time. They've had central features outside the front of the main house since the very first Festival of Speed, it was Thrust SSC, the supersonic car parked outside the house. And then the following year was the first central feature, and it's become a real theme. Every year, the central feature sculpture seems to have got bigger and better and more amazing.
Yep.
And each year it's sponsored by a manufacturer. And this year it's sponsored by Porsche. For the 4th time.
That's right. It's a record to be the 4th time, although I think it's also a record to have done it 3 times.
Right, there you go. So not content. You're
not bragging now, are you, mate? Like, just humiliate everyone. He's just putting it out there, guys.
So what we thought we'd do. Roy, I want to just find out a little bit about your background and role within Porsche before we talk about that. But we thought it'd be really interesting to talk about the central feature sculpture behind us, because you come along to a Festival of Speed and I often watch people taking pictures of it and talking about it, and there's so much misunderstanding about what the sculptures are, and actually I think you'll find it really, really interesting. But before we get onto that, tell us a little bit about your backstory and sort of how you ended up in the role you are at Porsche.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've been with Porsche for just over 4 years. So 4 years ago, I started a month before Goodwood, which basically meant I came here like a rabbit in the headlights.
Oh, wow.
Which was pretty frightening. But I came from the other Stuttgart brand, so I was pretty familiar with Goodwood. And before that, Volkswagen for quite a number of years, and I worked for Autocar back in the early 2000s. So I was on the other side of the fence before then.
Yeah.
So always loved cars, and it's got to be said, Porsche is obviously a bit of a dream come true.
Well, I can imagine any petrol head you end up working for Porsche, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, even other PRs, if people are really honest, it's always like, so what is your real favourite car? And there's always a Porsche in there, understandably, because they are, yeah.
I mean, we're pinching ourselves because I think if you've watched Joe and I's channels, we're big Porsche fans. I own a Porsche. So when we got asked to come along and be a part of your Festival of Speed, recording a podcast on the Wednesday before the show opens behind the scenes, and then when we got the invite to help film your Porsche sculpture reveal video. It was pretty impressive for us, and just a real pinch me moment. So shall we talk about the sculpture?
Yeah, and actually, what I'm gonna neatly do a bit of PR segueing here and say the thing that you guys got to do, and same with me, is it's all about dreams come true, and that's what we are celebrating, or Porsche is celebrating this year at Goodwood. We're calling it our Festival of Dreams, and we refer everything back to the original quote that you've probably heard, which is Ferry Porsche, who said, in the beginning, I looked around, I couldn't find quite the car I'd always dreamed of, so I decided to make it myself. And for us, that's Porsche. It's about realisation of dreams. It's about having a vision and completing it in whatever field you're in. And we find that's a really common theme with a lot of our customers, is that they get the realisation of a dream the first time they drive a Porsche, they own one. Hopefully, they have a similarly dreamlike experience. But that's kind of where it all comes from. So this year's sculpture is meant to be a bit of the greatest hits from the past 75 years of Porsche sports car. So earlier this year, June 8th, was the official 75th anniversary of the registration of the first Porsche sports car, which was 356 number 1, which is actually little mid-engined roadster. That's going to be here this weekend being driven up the hill. Sadly, I don't think I can let either of you guys drive it. I wish I could, and I'm sure you're perfectly able to drive it. It's just we're quite precious about it.
Can I just ask, how many cylinders does that car have?
4 cylinders.
4. Excellent. Can I just say, I've got a 4-cylinder Boxster, and the amount of comments I get, it's not a real Porsche, it's only got 4 cylinders. Yes, yeah. I know, but the very first Porsche had 4 cylinders. So
well, absolutely. The first Porsche had 4 cylinders, and one of the cars on the sculpture has 4 cylinders. So, there is
so it doesn't have to have 6 to be a proper Porsche. Just saying.
Absolutely not. 4 is perfectly acceptable. And indeed, if you've got one of our tractors, the diesel tractor, then 1 cylinder is okay too.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice. So cool. So should we talk about the cars behind? So there's, I think, a couple of things. The sculptures, the central feature sculptures, since the second Festival of Speed, have all been designed by the same person.
That's right, Jerry Judah.
And I think that's really, firstly, I think what a cool kind of Palmares to go through and sort of look at all of the different sculptures. I designed all of those.
It's quite incredible. And I think one of the things that I've only recently learned about Jerry Judah is he doesn't just do the festival sculptures. He's an internationally renowned artist in his own right. He's got a couple of sculptures in St Paul's Cathedral. So wow. This is by no means his only gig.
Yeah.
He does a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So he told us that the inspiration for this sculpture came to him on Christmas morning last year, and we said, was it a bow? Because there's a certain element that it looks a bit like, if you've got an elaborately wrapped present, it looks like the bow, but it isn't that. Apparently, he was getting the ducks out of the fridge for his Christmas lunch and had a moment of inspiration. And he didn't really clarify any more than that, but that was the moment that he had his inspiration, which I really like, that it's just, brilliant. There he is, he's just getting something out of the fridge and he had a moment of clarity and just thought, this is how it's going to look. And then he realised it.
It's not the fact he was getting a duck, ducks, plural.
I'm assuming he had guests for lunch.
I hope so. Yeah. Or he really likes duck.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and the good thing is, they all look so different and so unique. And I know you said you've done 4, and I remember 3 at least in the time that I've been coming here for the past 15 years or whatever it's been. But they always look very different. You wouldn't necessarily say, they're all done by the same person, which I think is really important, because as different manufacturers sort of build the statue, you want to have your own look, don't you? And I think every year it's always a surprise. It's always something different and very impressive. And this year, I think seeing it also when we got here, it was getting dark, and seeing it almost dark for the first time was really cool. And then walking in this morning and seeing it in the daylight was again completely different. But yeah, it's such an impressive bit of kit. It's an impressive statue. And as Ped said, I think understanding what it's built up from and what the cars are on there is what we're going to talk about, because it's always, some people probably assume that they're all model cars and they're not real, or some people assume that they're all real, and in many cases that's just not possible because of the weight. So I think, what you told us off camera early on is really interesting.
So all but one of them are real road cars, or able to drive on the road. The oldest car on the sculpture is a 356. It's Pre-A 356 from 1951. This is owned by Porsche Cars Great Britain. And for us, this is our roots. So not just the 4 cylinders, but also air-cooled, rear-engined. You'll be surprised to know it's got just 40 horsepower. So it's a 1.3 litre engine, 4-speed manual gearbox. So by far the least powerful car, but nonetheless a pretty cool thing. And you know, the 356 shows all the look of a 911. It's got everything that we know as Porsche is there right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And what's the kind of estimated or insured value of that car? Because it must be worth a fortune.
It's a really good question. I'll have to check, actually. I don't know. It is quite a lot.
A lot.
It's not the most expensive car on our books.
No, but you're just hanging it on a sculpture in all the weathers. And that's the bit I find amazing. You know, you'd think you'd wrap it in kid leather gloves and it would only ever come out when it's dry. You just hung it, you know, nearly upside down on a sculpture. We'll keep looking back. For those of you listening, we're looking behind us at the... in fact, this is a definite episode where you need to watch it on YouTube as well as listen to it in audio.
Definitely.
Because behind us is the most insane backdrop of any podcast we've done yet, I think.
It probably looks like Rory's got a really good head do or something, like an ascot hat on. But yeah, that's impressive. So that's where you start in terms of, if we're looking at the timeline, that's the earliest car.
That's the earliest car, and then chronologically we can follow it. We've got the really gorgeous 718 Formula 2 car from 1960, and it's right up the top. And one of the reasons it's right up the top is because it's very light. Now, annoyingly, I don't have the weight figure on me. I'll try to find that out for you guys. But one of the things here is that actually we couldn't have the kind of sculpture that Jerry's designed were it not for the lightweight of our cars. So there we are, selling a bit of Porsche lightness.
Nice.
Because they are a real engineering science exhibition, like cantilevered designs. Underneath the grass, you can't see it, but there's a permanent foundation for the sculptures each year that they can tap into. I think that was made bigger a couple of years ago for, I can't remember which sculpture it was, but it goes down a long way. So it is an engineering masterpiece.
It's quite incredible. The amount of steel is huge that's involved in making it. It's all made down the road at Littlehampton Welding, so it's not too far away.
Wow.
It's all fabricated there. It's been going on for a number of months.
Yeah.
It feels like most of a year, but definitely a few months.
And that car, so the 718 is in tyre? Is it?
It's there. The engine is. We've taken a little bit of weight out to put it up there. Much as I'm saying all of this, and we've basically what we've also done. If you were able to look into it, we've wrapped everything in polythene. We take the fluids out, partly so it doesn't drip on anyone walking past. We don't want the fluids going anywhere. But its suspension has been locked out as well, but otherwise it's very much a car that will be back on the road. It's somebody will be able to drive it in probably a month or so.
Wow, that's cool.
So that's got 155 horsepower, so a massive jump up from the from 9 years earlier in the 356. The next one I'm going to talk about, we've got a 962C. So that is enormous. Nothing small about that car at all. What surprised me there was that we were still making 962s up until the early 90s. And indeed, this particular one, which has got a 3-litre 6-cylinder turbocharged engine with 710 horsepower. This one...
Wow, we've gone up quite a bit on the horsepower stakes, haven't we?
It's jumped a fair whack there. So this one came 4th overall at Le Mans in 1990, raced by Derek Bell, Frank Kielinski and Hans-Joachim Stuck.
Wow.
So,
and again, that you'd think that would be a museum piece, you know, and it's hanging upside down on a sculpture again.
It is, and it's what I like about this one particularly is you don't see the Blaupunkt livery car very often. Normally you have one of our Rothmans liveries, or one of the ones you're more familiar with. There's the Newman car that's quite common. So you see a lot of them, but I haven't seen the Blaupunkt one, or I didn't remember it anyway. So I like that. It's a nice alternative livery. Then the other end of the Le Mans spectrum is represented by the 963. Now, this is the one car up there that is actually just a show car. So this is a model. It's not a running Le Mans car. That's because at the time we needed it, our 963s were actually at Le Mans. So funnily enough, they didn't let us have one for this.
And for the non-Porsche aficionados, if you come into the Festival of Speed, that one's the newer looking one of the two.
Yep.
The one nearest the house.
That's right, with a really bright multiple stripes on it. That's called the butterfly livery.
Oh, cool.
Which I really like. I think it looks spectacular. And that, of course, the 963, we unveiled last year here at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. That was the first time anyone had seen it when it came up the hill then. So for us, it was really important to have that car here because that is a little bit of Goodwood, a little bit of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of colour on the statue.
An awful lot of colour.
Yeah. I love it. It's great.
And hopefully people will see the filming you were doing last night is all about colour as well, because we're talking about those dreams and realisation of dreams and dreaming in full colour. And you know, it's a little bit of marketing spin, but it's quite cool. We're trying to get our cars in bright colours.
Yeah, I was driving a blue Spider RS with a drone above me projecting a blue pool of light that I drove through. It's just very cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
Sounds more interesting than my night.
It's a long one.
So what else have we got? With the final two cars, you won't have failed to notice, are both 911s. So this year, as well as it being 75 years of Porsche sports cars, it's also 60 years of the 911. And, you know, we couldn't let that opportunity pass. So the first car that I'm going to talk about is a Sport Classic, but it's not the current, more recent Sport Classic. It's the much rarer 997 Sport Classic from 2009. Again, this car is owned by Porsche Cars Great Britain. It's up at Silverstone at our Porsche Experience Centre, and actually you could drive that car. It is available to be driven by customers. So once we get it down and back on there, people could actually drive a car that has been on the sculpture. So it's one of only 250 cars worldwide.
That's good. Again, that's got to be worth some money.
It's worth quite a lot. But
it's one of those models. I remember when that came out, like it was yesterday, and I remember a lot of press going, "Oh, well, you know, it's overpriced, or it's just got this, and it's just got that." And then within a few years, it was like the values of them just went, you know, crazy. And what a surprise, a rare 911 being worth a lot more than it was when it was new. But it is for the right reasons, because you look at it with the Fuchs wheels and just the duct. It's just such a simple and beautiful looking car, as is the new one, in fact, which we've got one back where we're staying.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just, again, I think it looks even better in real life than it does in pictures. The spec of that one in particular is just beautiful. Yeah, wow, 911s. And I'm not just saying this because Rory's next to me. It's just, they make me a bit weak at the knees. And just before we move on to the last one, I just want to say as well, quick shout out to Porsche Silverstone Experience Centre. We might be doing a podcast down there in the near future. We're not 100% sure yet, but it's something that I get asked a lot by my audience. You know, I want to buy my partner a really cool driving experience. Should I do this? Should I do that? And there's various ones that I suggest. But the main one is the Porsche Experience Centre at Silverstone is fantastic. And you can book, I believe, still like mornings or afternoons or various cars. And it's just a real first-class event, and you actually get to drive and push the cars hard. Your instructors don't sit there holding you back. They try and teach you they want you to see how capable these cars are, which I think is really important, whether you're buying one or you just want the experience. So, yeah, just I wanted to cover that because it's awesome.
I remember when I went there, the bit that I remember the most is I went out in the two-wheel drive 911, followed by the four-wheel drive 911, so you could feel the difference between the two. And it's probably, for most people, the only way you would feel the difference, because on the road they're so capable on the road. But it was a noticeable difference. You kind of suddenly turned into, you thought, wow, I actually feel like I'm a driver. I felt the difference between those two.
Yeah.
I know they take you out in the GT3 RS and it just blows your mind.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, we're just trying to sort the dates out on that, so hopefully that will be coming to the podcast very, very soon.
Yeah. Sorry to ruin your flow there.
Not at all. Happy to have that interruption, because I was going to say, actually, one of the great things at Silverstone, you can drive all of the greatest hits of GT3 RSs as well. So it's not just current modern stuff there. And actually, I'm going to slightly go sideways. The other car, in fact, as we're talking about the values of some of our cars, we have got a 550 RS Spider at PEC Le Mans, which is owned by Porsche Cars Great Britain. Sadly, you can't drive that. It's not going anywhere at the moment, but it is a real one, and that's insured for, I think, about $6 million.
Wow.
So it's one of those cars that if you're there, go and have a look at it, because I think a lot of people, we kind of just have it there. A lot of people don't realise it's real. It's the real deal.
Wow.
It's an incredible car. We think it was originally driven by Ken Miles, a name that people will know from the Le Mans 66 film.
Okay, yep.
So it's got some pedigree. We have some plans for that car, but it's worth looking at. But I'll bring it right back up to modern times now. The final car on the sculpture is a current 911. It's a 992 GTS, so it's really modern. We've put a Martini livery on this one, which is just a bit of a nod to the past, a bit of a nod to some of our fine liveries, and indeed most of our Porsche staff who are working at Goodwood are wearing a Martini clothes. So that's kind of why we've got a bit of a hint there. So it's hinting at the road to race connection there, and it is, you can not have the latest model up there. So
And it's still one of the best racing liveries, Martini. It's just like
It is,
on
isn't it?
any car that wears Martini livery just looks wicked.
I've got to say, am I allowed to say I prefer their livery to their drinks? But
Well, yeah, it's a bit like Red Bull as well. You know, the amazing livery, but I don't get the drink at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well, that's an incredible lineup on the statue, and a great insight. I mean, for us as well, as well as the audience. I think it's really cool. And in terms of like what you've obviously got loads of cars going up the hill. Something we talked to Rob about yesterday.
Oh. We've got some sound checks going on in the background. we might just have to pause a minute just in case we get a copyright strike.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah. Back in the room. So we just had to stop there because they were just sound checking Escala, the string quartet. And it did sound very, very good, that actually. It was a good rendition of that song.
It was.
The other thing you might notice the background changing a little bit because the guys have been coming up and putting up all the umbrellas that we took down earlier on so that you could see the central feature. But
Yeah.
apologies for that.
And as you can probably see from the start, it has been very windy here. So we're hoping the sound, as always, is as good as possible. But it's kind of out of our control. And also, we wanted to sort of capture the raw setting that we're in at the moment because it is a work in progress here.
Yeah.
Everything's getting set up. Hopefully you can hear us nice and clear.
Wednesday, a Festival of Speed, is a day none of the public go to, but it is the one with the most stress and the most anticipation for the whole event. I mean,
Yep.
they'll be at it until probably about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, I think.
Fun.
So that's a central feature. So let's have a bit of a chat about the kind of the cars you've got going up the hill. You've got a 75th celebratory parade and moment.
we do, and actually the music you were just hearing is the music that's for our moment.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're just practicing for the Porsche moment, which is twice a day.
Yeah.
We have a little parade, so that's led by the 356 number one, the very first Porsche. There's that again is a bit of a smorgasbord of sort of greatest hits of our cars. We also have up in the ballroom paddock, we've got the Porsche Avenue, so there are around 60 Porsches up there, not all owned by the museum. Quite a few of them are from privateers as well. We've got some amazing drivers coming over the next few days. So we've got current drivers in the LMDH series. We've also got historic drivers. I know Richard Atwood, who won Le Mans for Porsche for the first time in 1970. He's going to be here. Actually, up until 2 years ago, Richard was still doing driver experiences at the PEC at Silverstone. So you could have turned up to have a go in your new Boxster.
But both
And
Joe and I have had the pleasure of Richard driving us around Goodwood. He's still a handy peddler now, and
he's really quick.
yeah.
So which is spectacular. But yeah, we've got a load of stuff. We've got modern cars coming up. We have got obviously the 718 Spider RS that you drove last night.
Yep.
So that's officially its dynamic debut. So the media launch for that car is a couple of weeks away still. So that's quite exciting that we're getting that. The Dakar, no one's seen that going up the hill here before. We're going to have a GT3 RS, latest model coming up. We've got the new Cayenne is going to be here as well, which may not seem like a Goodwood car, but it's quite exciting. It's got a 4-litre V8 replacing where it previously had a 3-litre V6. So that normally goes down well with hopefully with your audience.
Yeah. And on Friday, you've got the Cayenne Trans-Siberia being driven by moi. Yours truly.
Wow. Excellent.
I know. Very excited about that.
That's a really cool car.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of stuff going on with the E1 Cayenne, the first generation Cayenne. It was 20 years old last year. And yeah, I think it was fair to say 20 years ago it caused quite a ruckus. A lot of Porsche fans sort of not so sure of it, and now it's just we don't even
It's
question
really
it.
grown into its skin, as we were talking about it last night.
Yeah.
It's a very cool car now.
It's an awesome thing. So yeah, we've got no shortage of stuff. So we're going to get you guys in as many as we can to drive them up over the next few days.
I'm there. So all of the cars that you've got running up the hill, some really exciting stuff. But actually, for me, the really exciting thing is what they're running on, because they're all on synthetic fuels.
I think almost all of them. We're trying to make as many of them as possible run on synthetic fuel. So it's not our synthetic fuel yet. So our plant in Chile isn't yet fully up to speed, isn't producing enough fuel for us to have some here. But it's an Exxon fuel. It's the same stuff that we use in the Super Cup, and it is based on sugar beet waste. So it's not plants that have been grown specifically to make the fuel. It's the waste of that. It's around 75% renewable. It's 98 RON octane. So it's you can use it in any car, and it reduces CO2 by around 50% versus standard petrol. So it's kind of showing that we're trying to do the right thing here, and we've brought some of that. We've imported it over so that we can run the cars on the hill in it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Taycan doesn't need it. But
Oh, does that not run on it? No.
no, I don't know what it
Okay.
runs on.
So no, I think the whole sustainability fuels thing. I know Goodwood are super keen on getting both the Festival of Speed Revival and members meeting over to as much sustainable fuels as possible. But yeah, it's great for you guys to be leading the way for sure.
No, it's great. We wanted to align with Goodwood this year as well. I think it's a really, really good initiative.
Cool. Well, I have to say thank you for your time because I know you're a busy man today. So to grab some time with you has been fantastic. So what we're going to do now is a bit different for the Drive Talk podcast. Joe and I are going roaming. We're going to go on try and find some cool things to look at. We want to come and have a look at the Mission X actually on the stand. So we'll come and we'll maybe start with that and have a look round. So don't go anywhere because me and Joe are off exploring.
Yep, freehand. But I think we just wanted to embarrass Rob slightly as well, Rory.
Yeah, I'd just like to shout out. You've both been talking about Rob, and Rob Durrant is his name. He's part of the PR team at Porsche, and I think it's fair to say he does the bulk of the work around here, which is is how it should be.
He's good at delegating, isn't he? Because he was originally the guest, and then he went, no, Rory,
he delegated upwards to me, so it's a nice move there. But actually, that's because he's got to go and actually make sure he's got some keys, and there are cars to drive and stuff like that. So it's worth saying a big thanks on behalf of Porsche actually to Rob,
and on behalf of us. And to be fair, he was there's three of us out there doing that video last night, and he was the third driver. So yeah, he was out to the early hours. So thanks for everything, Rob, and thank you to Rory. It's been awesome having you on, mate.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Real surprise and great to have you on, and it's awesome to be here with Porsche. Let's go and explore. Let's go and find some people.
Cool. So we thought the first place to come and have a nose around had to be the Porsche stand.
Absolutely, and I mean, what a beautiful location it is outside. But we've started inside because of
the Mission X. Now, this thing only broke cover a few weeks ago. It's Porsche's kind of latest hypercar all-electric concept, but we kind of know what happens with them. They normally end up happening, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I remember the 918, whatever the concept of that was called.
Yeah.
And just thinking to myself, that's too good to be true. And guess what? Porsche made it.
I know, exactly. Now that, although it looks like a show car, and even the guys from Porsche GB thought it would just be a show car, it is a fully functioning car that will do over 150 miles an hour, apparently.
Wow.
It's a stunning thing. And Joe's very happy because it's on Michelin.
Oh, yes. And not just Michelin. It's on Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 Rs, and they're Inno rated, which means they're homologated for a Porsche. I'm guessing they're probably straight off maybe a GT2 RS or something. But anyway,
very cool.
I diverge. It's a very cool, very beautiful looking car.
Now that music's about to start. Should we go outside?
Let's go outside and see what's under these covers.
Now we're outside, the beautiful sunshine. It is the day before the show starts. So I think what they've done is once they've prepped every car to get it ready, they've put a cover on it. But we do know what they are because they've got the names under in front of each one. I reckon that's a Cayman GTS, don't you?
Yeah, looking at it, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So let's have a quick walk round and just have a look. I mean, there's some really cool stuff. I love the kind of the nod to the old Porsche history and heritage. This old 911 in service, half painted, half not.
Very
cool. Pat's loving a bit of this. This is very much your thing, isn't it?
This is up Pat Street. And actually, it reminds me very much of, if you ever get out to Stuttgart, you need to visit the Porsche Museum there. And in the actual reception area, which is massive, at the back of the reception area is their garage, and they work on all of the museum cars, or most of them. And they have cars like this and shells like this and engines out. And it's just such an interest. You could literally spend the day just looking through the glass of what's going on in the workshop. But that is obviously beautiful, kind of where it all started. As Rory talked about earlier on, I think it's 60 years of 911, which is impressive. And they've come a long way and grown a long way since, I'm guessing, what is that, Pat? Would you say that's a 70s something, early 70s?
Beautiful. And next to it is KN. Now, obviously, the guys listening, we're going to have to try and do our best to describe it, but this is a modern-day KNE hybrid, but it's got a tent on the roof, which is very, very cool. I've not done that yet. I'd love to get a tent on a car and go wild camping or something. That'd be really, really cool.
Well, with a view like that as well.
Exactly. So if you make your way up to the Porsche stand, it's just beyond. If you go up the hill under the bridge, just kind of by Molecombe, and then off you go. It's just on the right-hand side by Molecombe. Beautiful view out over the paddocks. Lovely terrace where you can kind of grab a drink, and they've got some mega cars around. I can see the back end of a 911 Cup race car over there.
Yep.
It's a really cool
And this
place.
is all a public area. This is
Yeah,
not,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's the thing about a lot of Goodwood. There are obviously private members areas and lots of swanky hospitalities. But most of it is public, and you can just wander around and check it all out.
And actually, anybody who's coming over the weekend, because this podcast obviously going to go live on Friday, the Porsche Cafe where we were filming earlier on in the podcast, that is open to the public. It's not a hospitality area. It's right next to the main house, just to the right of the main house, and they do the best breakfast at Festival of Speed. It's really nice. You can go there, buy your breakfast, well worth it.
Let's
have a
have
quick wander around here. We've got a 911 Carrera S undercovers. I've just bought one of these covers for my Boxster, actually.
Nice. Okay.
They're really good.
You did buy the cover for the 4-cylinder Boxer, not the 6 one.
Yeah, the
obviously they're
4-cylinder
going to be
Boxster.
different sizes, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the 4-cylinder one, all the heritage and all that.
Oh
So,
yeah.
you know.
You're going to play on that for ages.
Now, unfortunately, this next one is a Spider RS undercovers. Now, the nice thing about the covers, the Porsche covers, is they leave the rear window for where the number plate is, and you can see that's a Spider RS making its dynamic debut. And as I said, I drove one of those last night while we were filming the sculpture reveal video for Porsche, which was pretty cool. And then in there you've got a merch. So again, if you go on lots of the stands, you'll find cars on display. This isn't just Porsche, but all the brands. Cars on display, a fair share of merch to buy, and lots of people going around all day dusting the cars off because it gets really, really dusty.
It does, yeah. That's the thing. When the weather's lovely,
Yeah.
it's really dusty. It's like a festival here, isn't it? In the sense that it is a festival.
Yeah.
But when it's dry and it's dusty, and when it's wet, it's muddy.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's never any happy medium. But yeah, that's really nice. The cover was off minutes ago.
Yeah.
And then we have what we got. Oh,
Look, it's a Boxster over there.
Oh, yes, there is.
Oh, let's
That's
see.
a 4-cylinder as well.
It is a 4-cylinder. They're the best ones.
We've got a Panamera under there. In fact, big shout out. We came down here earlier on in a Panamera
Sport Turismo. Yeah.
And Kathy. I nearly
Kathy.
looked up her name.
What a legend.
Big shout out to Kathy if you're watching this.
You
she's
are a
a
legend.
chauffeur, and she shuttles all the Porsche lot back and forth during the 4 or 5 days here. One of the most humorous trips I've ever had
Mate,
in the car.
The best thing was we got in the back of the car, and the first thing she did was put the car in sport mode and absolutely gun it up the road. I was like, yes.
It was brilliant, and that reminded us of how cool the Panamera is, because it's not a massive selling vehicle in the UK. You don't see too many of them around, but the quality.
I think the Sport Turismo Panamera has been overshadowed a bit now by the Taycan Sport Turismo,
which is even better looking.
Yeah, and they're just such a good-looking car. I think, Panamera, let's face it, wasn't the first-gen Panamera was a bit of an ugly duckling, really.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got better with the kind of as it evolved. And now I think with the Sport Turismo, it's a bloody lovely-looking car.
Yes. Oh,
So,
what
yeah.
we got around the, this is a Taycan on the front.
It is a Taycan. Now, this is kind of one of the really interesting things is a lot of the cars, they'll be plugged into an external power source all over the weekend. That'll either be because they've got headlights or, they've got stuff running. You don't want them to run out. That's a big bunch of keys.
That's a bit... This is Richie, who's an absolute legend of Porsche GB. Good, mate. How are you? Good to see you. You got the colour matching top on for the car. So is that your private collection of keys there?
I wish it was my private collection of keys. Yeah.
He's got the...
Yeah, this is probably one of the most pressure. Well, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on having all these keys because it's for every single car on the stand.
How much value?
No, that one's locked. That's under lock and key elsewhere.
What value do we reckon there? Put in the comments if you're watching it. How much do you reckon all these keys are, or the vehicles that they're all connected? That's got to be a couple of million quid, I would have thought.
Yeah, something like that, easily. Yeah.
Definitely worth its weight. Definitely worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Or keys.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be losing them.
No.
They're always by my side or locked away. So.
Yes. Good man.
Wicked.
We'll let you crack on, mate. But lovely to see you as always. Yeah. Take it easy. Cheers.
Wow. So prepping the cars, and that's pretty much it. This time of the kind of the show where we're so close to the public, members of the public coming in. It's really cool.
Yeah. I've just had a message from a rather special individual, a professional athlete who's down near our podcast setup.
Yeah.
And he said he's got 10 minutes to talk to us. So I reckon we should head down there and go and say hi.
Sounds like a good plan. But if you are at Festival of Speed, make sure you come and see the Porsche stand because it's pretty special.
Yeah. One of our guests is none other than Mr. Sam Reynolds, a good friend of mine, good friend of ours, and incredible pro mountain biker, freestyle mountain biker. Thanks for coming on, Sam. It's great to have you. Tell us something about you, what you do, for those of you that don't know who Sam is.
Well, yeah, so as Joe said, we're friends from Mountain Bike World, actually. And, we hung out at Le Mans a few weeks ago, which was quality. But we're here at Goodwood. I ride the Gas Arena, which is a Goodwood Action Sports. So we've got freestyle motocross, mountain biking, BMXing, extreme sports over there with some specially made jumps. We do shows every day. And, just to add a bit more spice here to the Festival of Speed. So it's not just cars. There's a bit of bikes and other stuff as well. But, yeah, I love it here. I've come here for, like, the last 8 years. And, just got dragged into the Porsche Cafe here to do a car podcast for some reason.
Well, you're not just a bike guy, which I think is, I've discovered, especially in the last few years, that mountain bikers and roadies, most of them tend to have a bit of an obsession with tasty cars as well, and they do cross over quite nicely. And I think before we start talking about the bikes, can we talk about what you have recently purchased? Because I'm jealous but excited for you, and I really like it. And I know because you are a quality driver, because I've got absolutely smoked by you in go-karts, and I've seen some footage of you going around various circuits, that you can drive. So what have you just picked up? And tell us a little bit about your car history and why you're obsessed with them.
Well, actually, 2 years ago here, Lotus launched the Emira. And because we're here on... we're quite early. We're doing rehearsals on Wednesdays. So I actually got to see the car before anyone else on the way walking over one morning. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool, actually. And then kind of we got to the show, started doing rehearsals, and all my friends started bullying me. Like, you never buy anything. Do something cool for once. You stop talking about buying a car, just buy one. I was like, right, I'll show you. So we went back and I put an order in like first thing Thursday morning when it opened up. So I'm lucky enough to be one of the first guys to get the car, and it's amazing. It's one of the blue ones, and loving it so far. Just about run it in. I've had it for a few months now. It took a while to come, but it was worth waiting for. And we went to its first track day at Brands the other evening and had a couple good moments. It definitely got a little wild, but I mean that's what it's for, isn't it? I used to have an MX-5 turbo, which obviously you just wring its neck everywhere you go, and the Emira's not quite like that. But we gave it a good go. And it was amazing to drive. Got some good slides, burned the tyres out pretty good. And it was quality. Kept it on the black stuff, which is the main thing, because it's definitely a bit more expensive than the MX-5.
Yeah, definitely Brands Hatch as well. There's not much room for error there.
No, scary track, but really cool. I love that one.
I've seen the video.
Oh, have you? I think everyone just thinks I'm a bit of a lunatic. It just went a bit out of hand.
Yeah, Paddock Hill. That's a good place.
Not the one to do it on.
No, not really. No. I mean, that's a really good example, though. Festival of Speed, the manufacturers bring cars here, and that year for Lotus, they sold or took deposits of like over 100 cars over the weekend, 100 Emiras.
Yeah, there we go.
So it was a really, really successful weekend for them. So
I think that was literally everyone's other word that year was Emira.
Yeah.
Like everyone was talking about it.
Yeah.
And as you say, I think sometimes you can spend a lot of money on a setup here and maybe not use it the right way. But with Lotus that year, they had that massive setup, which would have cost, I'm guessing, millions. But it was talk of the town, and for right reason as well. I'm so glad that the car has come out as they promised, and it is as good and fun and awesome as they said. I love it. I think it looks great. And check out Sam's Instagram page if you want to see what we're talking about, because there is pictures of his car amongst his biking stuff as well, which probably shows you how much you love it. But tell us about your riding. I mean, I rode a lot of bikes when I was younger. I raced mountain bikes. I was never particularly good, but I could appreciate what you guys do, and good friends with Brendan for many years and stuff. So I've ridden with a lot of top guys over the years. And I mean, not only has the sport, like many sports, progressed so far, the freestyle stuff that you do especially, obviously that just keeps getting crazier and crazier every year, because it has to, right? You keep reinventing jumps and everything keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I just can't believe what you do on a bicycle these days. It's just, I mean, you're jumping 100 and what was that? The biggest that jump you did?
Yeah,
this?
110-foot jump we built the other day.
And I'm sure 20 years ago, 110 foot on a motocross bike, freestyle motocross bike, was probably pretty big, right?
Well, the jump in the gas show over there is 70 foot for the motorbikes.
For the motorbikes, yeah.
That's like a standard FMX jump, yeah. Well, I guess to introduce it a bit, I'm not a mountain bike racer. I'm, like you said, a free rider, which kind of just means I mess around and do tricks, really. And yeah, for sort of the last few years, taking it upon myself to try and build the world's biggest jump. So that's kind of what I like doing. And we've got a good little setup at the show over there. They're not 110-foot jumps, but they're just like a nice little pocket-sized load of jumps that we can come and sort of show people what goes on in mountain biking, BMXing world outside of the mountains, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. We always have the kids over there and they get stoked and they're like, oh yeah, I want to go ride my bike now, which is the main thing for me, which to inspire some kids to get stoked. I guess it's sort of like, when you come here and look at all the cars, you get excited about buying cars, and hopefully the kids, they can't buy a car for another 15 years, so they want to come and see some bikes and stuff that they can play on, and we're just big kids over there.
It's evolved a bit, because when I was a kid, I used to build jumps out of an ironing board and a beer crate, and now you're jumping 150 feet on a bike.
Essentially still the same, just we've got a much bigger ironing board. I mean, a much bigger crate.
What people don't realise, that gas arena's built specifically every year.
It is, they bring it in.
They flatten it at the end of every show, so it's not like it's a permanent structure. Or
you're not even allowed to wreck the grass, so they put all tarps down, and then they put the dirt on top, and then they have to carefully scoop it back up again, then roll the tarps back up so the grass doesn't get damaged.
Wow, that is nuts.
So it's like a skill in itself, the build. The build's really cool.
So the bit we were just chatting about before we sat down was it's quite windy today. Talk to us about the challenges of wind.
Yeah, so we're on a schedule. I think we do 3 or 4 shows a day, but let's say the show's at 12 o'clock. A big crowd turns up, and unfortunately today, it's super windy. It's only rehearsals day, so hopefully it's better tomorrow when the public come. But then you sort of, if it's too windy, it's obviously not safe, because once you take off, you don't have as much control. You have a little bit of control, but if there's a gust of wind, you can't really guess that, and there's nothing you can do, so you can't really guess it, and then that's when your worst crashes come, if your front wheel just gets blown away, and then you just hit the floor and then look a bit stupid in front of everyone, and it's a bit awkward. It's not really fun for the show. But because no one really understands, if it's raining, then people come and they're like, oh, sorry guys, the show's just postponed for a little bit because it's too wet, you can't ride.
It's a bit slippy.
Yeah, everyone understands the jumps are soft or whatever. But if it's windy, everyone just sort of stands there like, yeah, we're ready, do some backflips and stuff, which you kind of like, no, sorry, there's this invisible thing that you can't see that means we can't do a show. So it's always tough. I love shows, but if it's windy, it's the worst, because we want to ride and we want to do the shows, and then everyone wants to see it, and you kind of have to wait around a bit. So today is a bit of waiting around, hence why I came over to chat with you guys.
So when you do the really big jumps, how fast are you going at the top of the jump?
Oh, that's a good question. We actually don't know. We've got some other jumps down the same course that we know you hit at 46 miles an hour, but they're much smaller. Yeah, 46. But if I had to guess, I'd say 50, 55 for the 110er, something like that.
Wow. I mean, I'm a roadie, right? And if I'll do 50, 55 mile an hour on my road bike, and I'll be absolutely crapping myself, basically. And you're going to do that off of a jump.
Yeah, and hopefully ride out the other side. Well, someone did crash that jump, actually, and I always tell people, imagine doing 50 miles an hour in your car and then jumping out the window. That's what it feels like, but you've probably got more control jumping out your window. And it's quite windy at 55 as well, isn't it? You can definitely feel it.
Yeah.
But it's the build-up as well of some of these courses that you go down. Obviously it starts with some turns and a few little jumps and some step downs, and then you can sense it's just getting faster and faster and building up to these jumps. But, I mean, for you, do you still, because you do all these things, and you're used to them now, do you still get the first time you do a new section, do you still get a massive buzz out of it? Do you get to the bottom and you're like almost shaking with excitement?
Oh, of course, yeah. If you check out some of the video clips, actually, you can still see exactly how exciting it is. I'm 32 now, so yeah, probably getting old enough to know better, but still, that first rundown, if you do a jump, it's more like the more scared of it you are, the more exciting it is if it actually works, which is really cool. And like you said, I do a lot of building for bike parks and jumps and stuff, and it's like my passion, like you said, just making the ironing board and beer crate bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where we've got 110-foot jumps now. But still, the excitement and the pressure of it working is still the same reason as why I started, I guess. And yeah, we just invite the best riders in the world to come and see what they can do, and that's sort of weirdly my job at the moment, which is wicked.
When I was a kid, I jumped 11 people on a rally grifter.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
11 what, like little figurines or actual?
No, friend. Well, actually, we cheated. We got them to line up. We didn't have 11 people lined up. We measured 11 people.
Oh, okay.
And I had a couple, and then the gap just in case we didn't make it and landed on them.
Safety one.
Yeah, bent the forks though. My dad wasn't very happy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Wasn't
you're
really
a bit of a Sam Reynolds in the making, then.
But then I grew up, and then I got a fear of killing myself and breaking bones. And
Nah, come on over. I'll get your helmet.
no.
I know a bike.
Yes, let's send Ped off. Yeah, comment below if you're watching this on YouTube.
No,
Yeah.
it'd be you. You're the downhill mountain biker.
Well, this is something I'd love to do. I've talked about. I'd love to get us all out on some bikes one day and just see how far we can.
Let's go Wales. There's that good track there, isn't there? There's some good downhill.
Yeah.
Let's go Wales trip, car and bikes trip.
Absolutely.
I'm in.
Yeah.
But now I wasn't there because I had another thing to do. But you guys went to Le Mans, and the bit I'm most impressed about is I think we talked about this on the last podcast. You had the 911, the base 911, A911, the yellow one. You got 4 people in the back of that car, or in that car.
That was me in the back. Yeah. With my neighbour.
That's impressive.
And not just 4. Like, I mean, Patrick's 6 foot on a good day.
Yeah.
6 foot on a dating app.
He was driving.
Link in the comments below. Patrick's dating site. Yeah.
I'm 6'4". You're 6 foot-ish.
6 exactly. Yeah.
6 foot.
Rods must be almost 7.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's 4 big lads in this 911, and it was comical. And we might have done the odd launch control as well.
Oh, it still went, didn't it?
It still went. Yeah, that was great. Well, we've talked about it before. When you go to somewhere like Le Mans or the N24, you've got to venture out at night and just get away from the. Well, I say the busy areas. That was a really busy area. But if you're with a manufacturer or whatever, just go and explore. Try and find somewhere that's a bit off the beaten track. And at Le Mans, Indianapolis and Arnage is amazing. And it was just like, we're there at 2, 3 in the morning. It was like it was the middle of the day. There was people
rammed.
absolutely
Couldn't believe
everywhere.
it. Even the grandstands, like down the start-finish straight, are still full of people at 3 in the morning when we went back to bed.
Yeah.
Le Mans is actually wicked. I'd never been before. That was my first time, and I actually, enjoyed it so much. And like you said, venturing out at night was probably the coolest bit, wasn't it? Seeing the brakes glowing red around the corner and all the flames coming out the back was mint.
Yeah, the yellow zones that just clearly weren't yellow zones to some people.
They do like 200 miles an hour with like waving yellow flags.
Yeah, oh, it was nuts. No, that was awesome. That was really cool. Sam, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I think it's just awesome having you on, and I admire what you do on a bike, and you're such a nice, approachable guy.
Thanks very much.
No, you are just you're just a normal bloke. You're not like if anyone ever sees Sam, never be afraid to go up and talk to him because he's just the nicest, approachable person.
Yeah, come say hi at the Gas Arena if you're here this weekend. Definitely, we do autographs after each show.
Yeah,
Hang out.
and you only charge a tenner for the autographs, right?
A bit more than that.
Oh, a bit more than that. Okay, yeah. Sorry, someone's got to pay for the Lotus Emira.
That's right. Yeah. He's got finance payments to work out.
And the new tyres. We don't all get cool Michelin tyres like you.
Oh, well, after this podcast, I might be able to put you in touch with someone.
Then we make more skids.
Yes. Well, good. Yeah, good luck this weekend, mate. And hopefully we can all do something together, even if it's a track day or whatever. But before we let you go, I want to ask you if you could drive. Have you driven something up the hill before?
No. I got a ride, luckily, from Lotus last year up a hill in an Emira, which is really cool.
That's right. And secondly, if you could drive anything up the hill this weekend, what would you drive?
Oh, what a question.
And flat out, you could do, literally like...
What I want. Oh, there's always like, my favourite car last year was, I think, Travis Pastrana's, the Huck.
Huckster. Oh, yeah,
that just
family
looks
Huckster.
so fun. But that little, is it the McMurtry?
McMurtry Stirling.
I just
so
wanna
choose
know-
the fastest car that there is up the hill.
I want to do a passenger ride on the strap to the roof or something. 'Cause I guess there's not a passenger. I just want it goes past. It looks like an absolute joke, doesn't it? It doesn't look real. I can't imagine what that must feel like. So I'd love to go on one of those bike racks stuck to the roof or something, just to feel
sea sucker on the roof.
Yeah,
It's me.
through my legs.
I would be too scared in a passenger seat, strapped in with a harness and a helmet.
Yeah.
And this is different human beings here. And he says he would like to be strapped to the roof.
But imagine how fast it must feel. It looks fast, so it must feel stupid.
Yeah, very true.
Brilliant answer.
Nice. Well, on that note, Sam, thanks a lot for coming on. Make sure you do check him out. We'll put his socials below if you're watching it on YouTube. But it's Sam Reynolds on pretty much everything, isn't it? You've got a fantastic YouTube channel as well. Car guy, bike guy, and lovely guy.
Thanks. Cheers, boys.
Right, well, hopefully you enjoyed that little interview with Sam Reynolds. On our wander up here to the BMW stand, we actually bumped into Marino and Dario Franchitti, which was awesome. We were dribbling over some MotoGP bikes. But more important than BMW stand behind me, well, our eyes were diverted over there to Imran's M3 Touring CSL. I think that's what he's going to call it. But let's ask the man himself. He's here. Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too, mate.
I'll give you the mic.
I might hold it the mic.
No, I can't.
Now you can't talk.
I'll tell you what, Joe. I'll give Imran the mic. You ask the questions. This technology is way too much. It's that first time doing this thing. Hi, Imran. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Firstly, for those of you that don't know who Imran is, Imran runs Evolve Automotive. He also produces e-Venturis, which are the sexiest intakes for any car that I've run in my M2. In fact, my M2 was the test mule.
Yeah, it was actually the photograph car, I think. Yeah.
The photograph car, and I've got one in my M3 Touring now. But this is your first year down here exhibiting,
Yes.
as it were. So yeah, let us know. Tell us why you're here, what you're doing, and
Yeah, so Goodwood Festival of Speed, the first time I came was probably around 5 years ago, just visiting. And as the years have gone by, I've noticed there's more aftermarket companies exhibiting here. This year we thought we'd put our toe in the water, test it out, see what it's like. So we joined forces with CSF and Titan Wheels. And we have our M3 Touring on the stand. So both cars are running e-Venturi, CSF and Titan 7 products. So the other car is a 991 Turbo from ES Motors. And we're right opposite the BMW stand. So what better place to be? Because I think people will be over here, they'll see our Touring and go, hang on a minute, what's that? And come over and have a look.
literally you could not have done that better, because that's exactly what we did. I didn't know you were there. We walked over, we're dribbling over the BMW stand, which I was joking earlier on, it is impressive. It's the best stand I've ever seen them put on.
It's
at
really
Goodwood.
good. Yeah.
And the cars here are really nice, but I think your car actually trumps everything on there, including
The 3
the 3
litre
litre CSL, which is special and very expensive. But your Touring, obviously, I've got a massive.
People love it. I'm really surprised at the reception we've had on the Touring. So the initial video we made where we modified it, we literally did everything at the same time.
Yep.
It's on her 500,000 views already.
Wow.
So it just took off, and the amount of response we've had on Instagram and all socials is it's crazy. Just because it's a wagon and it's grey. It's not even like a bright colour like I'm used to having.
Yeah, but I think it all works very well, especially with the tasteful mods that you've got on. Again, for those of you that aren't familiar with Imran's collection of cars, head over to his YouTube channel. It's Evolve Automotive. Isn't it?
Evolve Automotive, yeah.
Because I can't keep up with his collection, and it's mostly BMWs, but there are annoyingly some really nice other cars in there, like GT3 RSs, etc. But honestly,
Have you still got the Z8?
Yes. That's not going anywhere.
And actually,
That's my favourite.
what was the latest M3 that you revealed at the Park Lane takeover?
E90 CRT.
Do you even know what that is, Ped?
No, I'm not Mr. BMW like you.
No, but that's how rare that car is. I don't expect many people, even BMW lovers, to know.
Yeah,
what
so
that
one
is.
of 67. It's an E90 M3 with a 4.4 stroker and lots of carbon parts. It's only one of 67, so it's essentially a four-door M3 GTS.
Yeah, out of the factory though.
Out of
isn't
the
it?
factory,
Yeah, it's not
yeah.
like
Yeah.
unbelievable. Well, mate, thanks a lot for your time.
No
Really
problem at all.
appreciate it, and thanks a lot for all the help that you've given me personally. And
Yeah. My
we've
my
worked
clubman
well
was
together,
yeah.
yeah.
My clubman had Ventura as well
The development car, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So both of you have been involved in that process tonight.
before it hit a
Really
log.
appreciate it.
yeah, before it died. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, mate,
you,
and enjoy Goodwood. I hope it goes really well for you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Ben.
Take care. Now then, mate, it's now the next day.
Is it?
It is the next day. It's been quite a busy day.
It has been very busy. A lot of sitting around, but then about 1 minute of absolute action.
Yeah, so let's just take you back. So if you've never driven up the hill before, which let's face it, most of you won't have done, we're very fortunate, first of all. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We arrived on site this morning just after 9. We had to go and sign in at the Drivers Club and get our magic wristbands, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see. And then we got here. What time did we get? About 11 o'clock?
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
The batch was late leaving anyway. Then we drive from here all the way to the start line, and then we had to be held at the start line because there was a massive off I believe the driver and passenger are okay, which is the most important thing. But the Ioniq 6 race car got to Morecambe and just didn't stop.
No, it looked quite scary, didn't it? It looked like there was absolutely no attempt at stopping. So maybe, I don't know.
So what I think there was either a complete failure of brakes. There's no brake skid marks on the tarmac at all.
Yep.
And someone even said he turned the wheel and nothing happened. So it was bad. But he went through 4 layers of bales.
Yeah.
And then stopped at the 5th layer. So that meant we were held at the start.
But that's what they're there for.
Man, yeah.
You see the hay bales, and how much is each hay bale?
Oh, they weigh about a ton.
About a ton.
Yeah.
So even though you look at Goodwood and you think, wow, that's not going to protect me, but that corner especially, there's been a few big offs there. Yeah. And as you see, it break through the barriers, and actually it would have slowed down nicely in a car with the harness on.
I think that when I said someone, it was bigger than Chris Hoy's off. That's a big off.
That's a big off, and I wouldn't say that too loudly because
you see if we can get the Duke on the podcast. It's just there.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that would have been so cool.
Yeah.
So Duke of Richmond's just walked past. We're obviously in his back garden, but then we did get to the hill start. So you were driving.
I was driving the 911 Dakar behind me.
That's cool, and I'm was driving the brand new facelift KN S Coupe. The big news in that, though, it's got a V8 petrol engine in it.
No, I think the big news in that is the paintwork.
Oh, yeah. So it's a very highly spec car. The paint on that car, on the K I drove, 10 grand, €10,000 option for the paint.
Yeah. Got to be a baller for that. But it does look, it looks special.
How much is the paintwork on your Dakar, mate?
£21,000.
So yeah, I was in front of you, so we'll talk about my run briefly first. So that KN, Patrick was in the passenger seat. We launched it off the line. Oh my days, it's fast.
Yeah.
Like really, really fast.
Well, he jumped in with me on the way down and he said that was pretty rapid and scary at the same time.
So I got up and I actually caught up Charlie Cooper in front. He was in a mini race car, but he was on old, cold slicks, so that wasn't so good.
Yes.
So we got up very, very quick. And then how was you running the Dakar?
It was fun, but you know what? Obviously, I'm very aware of the fact that it's running, let's say, off-road biased tyres.
Big knobblies.
Big knobblies.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of underestimated, even though off the line I got 4 wheels spinning up with launch control, I'd underestimated that it wouldn't slow down particularly well. So as I've hit the brakes, front axle's locked up, we've got a little bit of ABS action going on and a bit of understeer. But thankfully, that was, that helped me on the way up. And I did a bit of, I think I managed to get all 4 wheels off the inside of the first corner onto the glass.
Kicked up some dust.
It deserved that, yeah. So hopefully someone out there got a nice picture.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. Got on the top. The top's amazing, isn't it? Hang out with all the cars, all the bikes up there. Everyone's buzzing from their run. And then you head back down, waving at the marshals and the crowd. And it's just awesome. And I have to say, that produced a lot of smiles today. It really did.
Oh, mate, you were the car on the way, because we were in front of you going to the start line. And everyone's like, oh, look, Dakar. Look, it's Joe Achilles, Dakar.
Mostly it's Dakar.
I think for me, the big thing is that when you start out as a YouTuber, I used to come here as a punter and watch the people going up the hill and think, oh, man, one day. And I remember the first day I got a passenger ride up with someone else driving, and that was really special. But to now be in a position where we get invited for us to be driving with Porsche this weekend is just an amazing privilege, and we know it is. And one of the things we want to do is try and share that with you both. There'll be videos on both of our channels about our drives up the hill. I'm very fortunate. I'm staying here for the rest of the weekend. You're now up somewhere really cool though, aren't you?
Yeah, we're off to Pat and I are literally about to jump in the M3 and head up to North Wales for the Red Bull Hardline event, which is a mountain bike event, because BFG are a major sponsor up there for the uplift vehicles, and BFG are part of Michelin. They're owned by Michelin. So it's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. It was hard to sort of tear myself away from Festival Speed, but I think if you're going to do one day at Festival Speed, or we've kind of done 3, haven't we? Then an awesome podcast with all the Porsche UK or Porsche GB team with you driving out of the hill. I mean,
it's a pretty good day, to be fair.
It's not bad. And the sun's been out for the majority.
You've done all right. I mean, I'm here for the rest of the week. I've got another drive or 2 with Porsche. And a drive with Maserati.
Wow.
It should be good. It should be really good.
I'm sure it will be. I look forward to watching your videos. I already said in my video on the way back that I'm sure Ped's going to film about 1,000 videos from this week.
I don't know whether it'll be 1,000. But it's been a podcast with a difference as well. We've really kind of this walking round with these mics and kind of trying to get a bit of background bit of behind the scenes has been interesting. So let us know what you think of that in the comments. Give us feedback. But I think it's probably about time we head off back to your M3 parked at my house.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think it is, mate. Thanks for being so awesome. It's been fantastic few days. Big thanks to Porsche, of course. Rob, Rory, everyone, the whole team. It's just been an amazing experience. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and tune in for the next podcast, which we're filming next week.
God, are we? No rest for the wicked.
No.
Cool.
See you on the next one.
Now.
Peace out.